Morning. I'm glad you could join us this morning because I am with Robert Berry today. And who is Robert Berry? Well, Robert Berry is an audit trainer who helps auditors ask better questions. He's a keynote speaker. He's also a keynote speaker, and his superpower is helping companies save millions of dollars by asking the right questions. Even if you might think they're stupid questions, dumb questions. He's published 3 books and won the Internal Audit Beacon Award in 2021. And he has an MBA. So I think you're a very accomplished person, Robert. And I'm happy to say that I have one of your books, Ask, Get, Perform. I bought it last year, and it's a really good book, you guys. So be sure to get it. And welcome to the show, Robert. How are you doing today?
I am better than excellent.
Better than excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. And I know, when did you first become interested in auditing? Was it something first? It's an interest in numbers that you had when you were younger. What was it?
No, I actually hate numbers. I like people.
You?
Yeah, yeah. So a big part of the job has nothing to do with numbers. It has to do with actually managing your relationship with people, and that's the part that I like. And that leads to saving money in the numbers part. But I hate numbers. I truly do hate numbers.
I wasn't expecting that answer. I have to be honest.
When have
So
you ever gotten what you've expected from me?
that's good.
Right? I mean,
Okay, do you remember the first time we met was a couple of years ago. We were in that membership group. We won't say the name of it, but we were in a membership group and we met. I mean, I met a lot of amazing people there. You, Mark, Vancouver. Oh gosh, now I'm spacing. Doreen,
oh yeah, there were a lot of
Doreen.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were a lot of us in there. So, what was the main takeaway from being in that membership group, you think?
My main takeaway was that visibility can help you build your business.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see that you're becoming a lot more visible since being in that membership group. You're everywhere now. And was it hard to get started
Um, you know,
becoming more visible? Was it hard getting yourself started, putting yourself out there?
for me, no. And but there are several reasons why it's a no for me. The first reason is I was already a trainer, so I was already used to being in front of people. Now, being on camera recorded video, that took a little bit of work to get over. But the second thing for me was, look, I had just left a really interesting job, and I left with no additional income coming in. And so I needed to hustle. And if there's one thing that I know how to do, that is hustle. And so when I saw the formula was visibility can actually lead to more business, that's all you had to tell me. And I was going to find out how to do that.
So you mentioned hustle. So what do you think about the whole hustle culture right now? Are you advocate for that, or are you more about taking time out for yourself and your business?
Well, I think you do both though. I don't think those two things are separate. I think you hustle so that you can enjoy the things that you want to enjoy in life. Now, if you're working hard to a point where you can't enjoy life, then you are doing the wrong hustle. You shouldn't have to work just to survive, which a lot of us do, right? But that's because we may have our priorities mixed up. But I think that hustling is something that's a natural part of life. I mean, if you don't work, you don't eat.
That's true. You can't say it any more simple than that. You don't work, you don't eat.
I'm a
That's
very simple
true.
guy.
So, can you tell us a little story about a little peek into what it's like to be an auditor and what kind of, for people who may be interested in the field, in the profession of auditing, what are the kind of personal characteristics you need to be an effective auditor?
Mm. At the end of the day, I think that there are two things that you have to have. You have to have a desire to find the truth, whatever the situation is, because you have so much noise, especially nowadays. We have the he said, she said nonsense, but right in the middle of his truth and her truth is the real truth. So that's the first thing. And then I think the second thing you have to have is the ability to ask some really good questions, because if you get garbage coming in, then garbage is going to go out. So you got to be able to discern what the truth is in almost any situation. Because a lot of people think that I look at numbers. I don't. I look at processes. Like I've done fraud investigations where people have been stealing money or goods or whatever. So, and I've worked in hospital environments, university environments, banking environments. So you just have to be in pursuit of the truth, as I call it, and then you have to be able to discern truth from fiction, fact from fiction.
That makes sense. So basically, you have to have integrity,
A whole heck of a lot
honesty,
of it.
fairness. You have to be fair, not biased, right? I would imagine, and obviously no conflicts of interest, right?
Yep, that's it.
So, so I know that asking questions is important in any industry. What do you see as the toughest question to answer in your entrepreneurial journey?
Ooh, one of the toughest questions I think you have to answer is, am I doing the right thing? And I think that's on multiple levels, right? So am I offering the right products and or services to my audience? Am I delivering the right message to attract the right clients? And am I making my ultimate client satisfied? So am I doing the right thing? That's like the ultimate question. And you have to continuously ask yourself that,
Yeah.
because you might have to fine tune what it is that you're offering, make it different, make it better, scale it back, ramp it up. You never know.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track, Robert. No, you published 3 books, and we have to talk about this now. You have 4 podcasts, right? Now, I know 2 of them are on the back burner for now. The Corporate Quitters, and what's the other one? Audit Bites. What's going on that those
So,
2 are on the back burner?
well, they're not on the back burner. They're seasonal.
Oh, they're seasonal. Okay, I should
Yeah.
have known that. The
Well,
seasonal. So when are they coming back? The
the corporate quitters will
critters.
probably be back in about a month. Audit Bites will probably be back in a few weeks. I've already got 6 episodes of it already queued up.
Okay.
But here's the thing. So I'll tell you what, the first, and I'll just give you the story of how it all started. So that group that we were in, I was told,
Mhm.
look, you need to get some visibility. And one of the best ways to get visibility is to do a podcast. So I knew nothing about podcast production. So I said to myself, I need to learn podcast production. So I started with this one that I called the Corporate Quitters. And I learned how to film, record, edit, produce, and distribute your podcast, which included building all the digital assets, the covers, and all of that good stuff. So I did a whole bunch of research, figured it out, and then just did it. That podcast was one that I recorded, and I was going in and editing episodes. And I tell you what, I will never do that again. The first episode, it was 1 hour long. It took me about 12 hours to edit it because 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 I didn't know
Yeah,
what I was doing, right? I didn't know what I was doing. And
right.
so on top of that, I ended up building the website for the podcast and everything too. So that was like my experimental baby. And I think I've done 55 episodes of that podcast, I believe, or 50 or something like that.
Quite a few.
Whatever
Yeah.
it was, it was a lot, yeah. And so, but that podcast wasn't going to necessarily bring me any money for the training that I was doing, but it was my test ground. And so then after that, I came up with the Friday Fraudster, which is every Friday, me and two
Mhm.
co-hosts, we talk about fraud live on LinkedIn. Now, the beauty of that is no more editing. Once that's done, you just put it up and you're done. And so I got better and better at this whole podcasting thing. And so then I said, well, I need another one for people in my field so that they can find me. So I started this one called Audit Bites. And the whole concept behind that was bite-sized chunks of information. That's just me, no guest. And so I have to show up and be the best, the best me that I can be. And so that one's seasonal as well. So it started off, I said I was gonna do it every other week. And after about 30 episodes, I was going back to back every week because I was just having fun. And then I said, I don't want to burn myself out, so let me slow down. And then the last one, my friend Doreen came to me and she said, look, I want to do this podcast and I want you to be my co-host. And I said, are you sure? Have you seen me? And
That would have been number 4.
yeah, that was number
Yeah.
4. And I will say, I have to admit, the Friday Froster with the 2 other co-hosts I have, and then the other one with Doreen, Good Morning LinkedIn, those 2 are the most fun. It's so much fun.
Mhm.
But that's the kind of the short version of how it all came together.
Yeah. Yeah, so corporate critters is was the testing ground, and then decided you needed a podcast specifically for auditors.
Yep.
And then no, no, Friday Frogster. How did that come out? Did you talk to anybody about that? Because you have 2 co-hosts for that one, Friday Frogster.
Yeah, so that one was funny. So one of the co-hosts, she's an expert in fraud. The other one is an expert in ethics, and then you got, me, and the Kelly Paxton. She's the expert in fraud. She does a lot of Twitter
Kelly,
posts about fraud, and I would see them, and I just said to her one day, I said, we should go live on LinkedIn and talk about fraud. Nobody's doing that in our field, so let's do it. And believe it or not, well, you've been on some of the episodes. It's fun. Like, we make it fun.
yeah, I think it's a lot of fun watching that. Since you're talking about like current events, what's happening in the news. And I see Kelly's checking online and looking at all the news, and it's really interesting to watch, but very informative too. I mean,
Yeah,
and
very
Kelly
informative.
also has a podcast also called
Kelly has a
Pink.
podcast. Yeah.
Is it Pink something?
Hers is called Great Women in Fraud, and she just rebranded and changed
Yes,
the name
Big
to
Women in Fraud,
something else,
right?
and I can't remember the new name now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, Robert, you have 4 podcasts, which is a lot of work. I applaud you for that because one podcast alone is a lot of work. So, but I think it helps to have co-hosts on your other podcasts so they can kind of carry the work too, and you're not the only one.
They can make me look good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you said that one of your pain points with the podcast is onboarding guests that want to be on the podcast. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's a me issue. It's a pain point because I'm not good at it. There's certain people I see that just make it happen. So,
So can you tell me the current process of onboarding the guests?
well, I mean, my current
Do
process
you
is I have
have
a form.
like do you email them and ask them to be a guest on your show, or do they come to you more?
You know what? It's a little bit of both. I will say I don't have a problem actually getting the guest. It's the getting the timing right that's the issue. But because I mean, I have a lot of people who want to be on the show, and I have a lot of people that I want to be on. But it's the scheduling of it. Some people might have scheduling conflicts, and then I have a form that I want them to fill out, and the form is it's a little lengthy, but I think it helps me and it helps them. But I think that's the primary issue is really the timing of it all.
Oh, okay. So I know that you manage your projects in ClickUp, right?
Yeah.
And you have Calendly, right?
Yep.
Do you integrate, is Calendly integrated with your ClickUp?
Um, that's a good question. Not yet. No.
Yeah, you should integrate the Calendly with your ClickUp. Like create a template for your guest onboarding form.
Yeah, I've seen that it could be
So
done.
once somebody schedule in Calendly, whatever, maybe you should just saying that you have a scheduling conflict. They probably have to schedule months ahead, which can be pretty difficult.
Yep.
Is that the problem you're having, like planning months ahead?
um, some of it is, yeah, yeah. Some of it is planning and scheduling months ahead. And I think too, I think one thing is, you know, with a weekly podcast and having guests each week, it can be hard to actually find someone every week. Like, for example, I was listening to Gabe last night, and Gabe has his podcast every day. And he was saying that this week he
Every
was
day?
yeah, he was saying that this week he needed some people because some people had dropped out for whatever reason. So that's the part that's kind of,
Oh,
you know,
yeah, there is a chance of that. But no, another possibility instead of having the guest every week is to kind of do hybrid podcast. No, somebody drops out or it doesn't work out or you don't have someone that week. Do the show by yourself, half an hour.
yeah, no one wants to see me by myself.
I do. I
You
do.
know,
What do you
you know,
have to say, Robert?
you know what I was thinking. In all seriousness, I was thinking every other week having a guest, and I think that might actually help because sometimes it is stressful too because you have to research the guest. And thankfully, I it seems like I know a lot of people, but if it's somebody you don't know, you'd have to do the research and you really have to go in depth because you
Bye.
want to make the show
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You do have to research them just as the guest is researching you.
I would hope so.
So I think the first thing you want to do is integrate the Calendly with the ClickUp, okay? And then create a template for the guests. Once they schedule with you, then they automatically get the guest onboarding form through ClickUp, and then it's automated. Now, I'm not. I'm learning how to do automation myself. So, but that's one thing to do in ClickUp. I was looking on the website; they have a lot of great features on there, but I'm using something else for automation, so that's not on my horizon right now. But is that something you think you could do? That would that help a little bit?
Oh,
Give
it'll
me
help some. I've seen the
with
feature
automation.
on ClickUp. Yeah. I just don't know how to do it yet on ClickUp. But ClickUp is freaking awesome. It is a fantastic piece of software.
Yeah, yeah. Do they have tutorials and video tutorials that you can go through that shows you how to do automation and
Oh
integrate?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
they do. The thing about it is it's project management software. And so
right.
you can follow your podcast through from the idea phase all the way to the hey, it's been produced phase.
Mhm.
And so I can see every stage of the process for each of the podcasts. Um, the automation piece takes a little bit of extra doing and a little bit of extra learning. So as soon as I figure that out, that'll help some.
Yeah, I think so. It's all about streamlining your process and it takes less time in the long run. In the long run. Okay, so can you tell me what is on your? You said it's a long form that you use to send out to your guests. What kind of questions? You say it's very long. Is it possible that you can shorten it a little bit?
Yeah, I'm only halfway joking. It's not that long. Um,
Okay,
it's
I can
because
tell.
because I know a few people have actually copied it. They've called me and said, "Hey, I copied your form," but I ask, what is your name? What is your work title? What are all your links? Because I really want to make sure I put your links in there. Um, and for the corporate quitters, I ask a few specific questions because, like, So that whole podcast, a lot of people think it's about quitting your job. It's not about quitting your job. It's really not. It's really about quitting the limiting beliefs that you have that are holding you back. And so I ask people specifically, I call it the oh quit moment, the moment that you knew you needed to quit. I ask them, what is your oh quit moment so that we can talk about it on the show? So I ask questions that are relevant to the show that can help make the show better.
Good. Now, do you ask them for their guest bio? Do you ask
Oh,
them for
yeah,
their bio? Yeah.
for sure. Bio, website, social media links. And then I also ask, what is something that they're promoting? Because we do want to talk about it. We don't want to make the show all about just a sales pitch, but I
Right.
think the whole thing about getting on a podcast, it's a two-way relationship. You know, the guest has information that the audience can receive, and then the guest also has something that they want to get from the audience, which is a potential sale. And I think people who don't admit that are just lying to themselves. It's a two-way relationship. You want to get potential clients, but you also
Mhm.
want to give information that's valuable too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We have to be honest. I mean, we're all on LinkedIn for a reason, and that's to find business.
Right.
Yes, building relationships is important, yes, but you're also there to find clients and make money. I wish
Yeah.
more people were more honest about that. Some people are, just a few. We all know why you're here. Yes, but in the meantime, let's talk and have develop relationships. Yeah. So
I'm
I know
very
that
honest about that.
good. I'm glad.
But I think too, you want to do business with people that you like. Because
Yeah.
even I've reached out to you a few times and I've said, "Hey, I think I may need to hire you for ABC because I'm getting overwhelmed with this podcast." I want to do business with people that I like, and I kind of like you. I mean, you're all right.
Yeah, and yeah, that takes time getting to know them and taking time. And then we've been
Yeah,
talking for 2 years, so that's a long time to get to know
right.
somebody. And so so I know that you're talking about quitting. Corporate quitters is not about quitting a job, but more about wanting to quit the 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 mindset. Quit.
But
When did that when did that happen for you? When you said in your mind, I quit.
it happened to me a few times throughout life. You have these obstacles that you face, and then you realize that some of the things that you believed are complete utter nonsense, and you have to overcome them. So like for example, when I was a kid, I hated getting in front of a crowd. I hated public speaking. I hated my voice. I hated the way I sounded. And then I realized that I needed to do some of that for a living. And then when I started talking, people would say stuff like, "Ooh, I just love the sound of your voice." And I'm like, "Really? I hate it." But then I was like, "Okay, the things that I'm saying that I'm believing in my head are probably are probably nonsense." I almost said something else. And so you stop believing certain things that are keeping you from excelling. And then once I stopped believing that, next thing you know, I was doing keynote speeches and all kinds of stuff. Then I remember when I was in school, I had this one teacher tell me, you know, the way you write is just bad. It's too short. You need to make it longer. You need to expand your writing and all that good stuff. So, I believe that I couldn't write. But then as an auditor, we would have to write audit reports, and people would always want me to write the reports because they were short and concise. My books, short, concise, to the point. People say, I love your books because they're to the point, short, and concise. So I had to stop believing that I couldn't
Mhm.
do that. You know, I mean, what is that? That's 160
Yeah,
pages, I
I can
think.
say that because I read your book and it's very to the point, brief,
Yeah.
short sentences, and yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
So I think throughout life, there are certain things I had to stop believing so that I could achieve other things. Like, for example, working for a company. Sometimes companies they treat you unfairly, and then they do it because they know that they can. I remember working for one company where they told me, "You need to do what we tell you to do because you know you need this job, even if what we tell you to do is wrong." I mean, that's only half
Yeah.
true. You can make money on your own. You can figure out ways to make money on your own so that you're not strangled by somebody else's unacceptable standards.
Hmm. Yeah. Did you come across any unethical behavior at work?
Oh yeah, I mean that
Illegal?
that's a part of the job. Yeah, yeah. I've
No,
investigated fraud
before when
cases.
we were working in corporate, I mean.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure,
Oh, okay. Okay. So,
for sure.
but you worked in different, and for other companies that didn't have anything to do with auditing. Have you been an auditor since the beginning of your career?
Um, Not my entire career, but for a big part of it. It's fun. It's what I like to do.
Yeah, yeah. I could see it's challenging, but then do you ever like meet people, like a company, manager in a company, you actually like them, and you find out they're doing unethical things, you kind of feel bad. There's kind of like a, well, they're not doing something right, they're doing something wrong, and I actually like them. And how do you deal with that kind of a conflict?
Yeah, been there, done that before. You know, even if I like you, if you're doing something that's illegal, unethical, or immoral, what I'm going to do is gather the facts, put the documentation together, and hand it over to law enforcement. That's just what it is.
Yeah, pretty simple, straightforward, but can be hard for some people to do if they can't compartmentalize. Does that happen? Is that something that happens to other auditors, or they're able to compartmentalize? That's just part of the job.
If you want to be in the job long, you better learn how to compartmentalize.
Yeah, that's true. So, do you find the longer you've been an auditor, do you find that there's a lot more fraud going on now as opposed to when you first started, or is it about the same?
That's a really good question. So, okay, I'm going to answer that in two ways. I think the answer to that is yes. You become surprised by how much is actually going on, but then you also become numb to it. You hit a point where it doesn't surprise you anymore. You just continue to do the job, but you just become numb. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, imagine.
Hmm.
I just thought of that. I said, because I was thinking of that. There's no relation, but I was just thinking that there's starting to be more crime here in Albuquerque. It's increasing, but we're going to vote for a governor in November, right? Here in Albuquerque, we're going to vote for a governor. So, of course, it's saying all these things, the Democrats, the Republicans, you know, how they say these lies and says, oh, the crime is catastrophic here in Albuquerque now. No, it's not. It's always been bad. We've always had really bad crime here. It's gotten a little bit worse, I have to say. Like, in one weekend, we had 3 homicides. That's a lot in one weekend here in Albuquerque. But
Ah.
there's always crime here. So called catastrophic is um, a big exaggeration. So it's just interesting to see what they're saying, but then you can see for yourself if you read the news, follow the news online. It's not catastrophic, but it's a lot of so. But you always know in the beginning. I think you always pretty much know in the beginning who you're going to vote for. If you always no, I don't see how seeing these ads every minute uh, on TV is going to change anything. Oh,
You'd be
I know,
surprised.
kind of off topic. Yeah, yeah. And then I have a neighbor around the corner. She has a sign for Trump in her front yard, and says, "See, this family supports Trump uh, for 2024. Good luck, ladies. Good luck. Good luck."
Well, that's the beauty
Won't
of the
get into
United
that,
States.
but
You
yeah,
have the right to
everybody.
support.
Yeah,
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 you have the right to support anybody you want to.
you do, you do. But so anyway, I wanted to, that was off tangent. I wanted to go back to your podcast and say your other pain point is being a perfectionist in post production. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Everything has to be right in post production. What do you mean? No, I've gotten over that. But I think we want to see things a certain way. Because if you look, I do like micro clips and everything too. And so I want to make
Mhm.
sure that the lettering is perfect, that it's centered where it needs to be, that it's set up where it needs to be, the color looks right, and everything is good. And that can be a pain because you could spend 30 minutes to 45 minutes just working on moving one
Do
little
the same
small thing.
thing. I do the same thing too.
Yeah.
I just like, yeah. I mean, yeah, some things don't have to be perfect, standard, but the font is very important because you want people to be able to read it, and you want
Yes.
people to see the caption on it too. So that's important.
Yes.
I just wanted to say hi to some people in here. Andrew, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us from California. And Dimitri hello from Guatemala. That's beautiful country. I want to visit one day. My former brother-in-law is from Guatemala, and he would make these absolutely delicious meals. I don't know, carne asada, some kind of tamales. Oh my God, so good. Anyway, I don't want to get hungry. Thank you for being here, you guys, Dimitri and Andrew. If anybody has any questions for Robert, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll get to it. So, Robert, so are you saying that you've gotten over the perfectionism in post production, or you kind of?
I hope so.
I think they look the same to me. Nothing's changed.
You know, I will say, here's the problem that I have right now. The problem that I have right now, and this is a really serious one, and I think some people will benefit from this. The problem that I have right now is being the only person, quote unquote, on my team that's doing everything. Because what happens is I have a structured process. So when one of my live shows is over, historically, I could have it up on all the podcasting platforms within an hour to an hour and a half. Now,
Mhm.
a few months ago, I got a little sick, and so I fell behind. And so I'm still behind. And that's why I think what you got to do is just have a set of procedures and then have somebody else trained on how to do it. Because your process could be really, really good. But if you're the only one that can do it, if there is a point in time where you can't do it, your entire podcast production falls behind. And I think that's the bigger problem that I face right now is trying to actually catch up now.
Yeah, yeah. If you have at least one person that can help you,
Mhm.
with a friend, somebody you don't have to pay right away, but that you can kind of barter. I'm a big fan of the barter system, where you can help each other. Um, the trick is making sure one person that just doesn't have too much work, while the other person has just a little bit. It's the balance, finding that balance if you're going to barter with someone.
And
So
that is my
you have at
problem.
least someone, a friend, yeah. If you can have at least a friend that can like pick up the work for you when you get sick. I mean, anything can happen. somebody has to go to the hospital, the kid is sick, or something will you'll need help at some point. So let me
Yeah.
just
I think we need to go to Guatemala.
oh, that sounds delicious. Thank you, Dimitri, for the invite. I have to be sure to go to Guatemala someday, one day. Thank you. So, so is that something that can happen for you, Robert? You can have a friend help out during those times where you need help.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hire an administrative assistant, and I think that's how I'm going to alleviate the problem. But yeah, I do see that as being a huge problem for someone who has a podcast where it's just them. You know, you haven't hired anyone else yet for whatever reason.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I know other one. No, I think we've covered all the pain points.
Mm.
Do you feel
That
like
last one is a
you
real
have
pain point.
some clarification on the guest on for guest onboarding? Do you have a little bit more clarification there now?
Yeah, I'm gonna have some guests, and I'll just work through it. Like I said, it's not even getting the people. I know some people have a problem getting people.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, I know a few people, but
You know a
it's
lot of
really
people. You
just a
know a lot
few,
of people. Come on,
just a
let's not be
few.
modest, okay? So I'm just you mentioned Gabe. He has a podcast every day, or is it a live event every day?
What's a live event every day? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
live
yeah.
event every day. And have you been following it every day?
Not every day,
Not
but quite a few
because
days.
yeah, I didn't know about it. I mean, I think I need to know about it. I think I have this notification on. Maybe I don't. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, I mean, but do the notifications really work that well here on LinkedIn?
They don't always know. When you ring the bell, they don't always show up.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I
they need
know.
to fix that. But there's now, LinkedIn now has a LinkedIn Learning plan where you can pay $19 a month and you get all of the premium features, I think. Did you know about that?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
because I'm already on the plan. So I've been on that. I've been on the entire plan with LinkedIn Learning and
Oh,
all of that.
okay.
Yeah, for about 10 years or so. So people get mad when I tell them how much I
10
pay for
years,
it. Yeah. So
they're paying $100 a month, right?
I only pay $9.99 a month.
Oh, that was way back 10 years ago?
Yeah.
They
And they
locked you
just
in
yep,
at that.
yep.
Oh man, I would be mad too. Because Sales Navigator is $79 a month, I think.
Now I don't
It's
get
kind of
Sales
pricey.
Navigator, but I get everything else.
Yeah, yeah. Sales Navigator. I tried Sales Navigator and I don't think it's worth the money. You can do it on the free plan or another lower tier plan.
Oh,
It was pretty clunky to me. I mean, yes, you can find all of your potential clients and put them in the same place, but it was pretty clunky to me. You can still do that on the free plan or a lower tier plan, in my
gotcha.
opinion. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, Robert, is there anything you'd like to add before we end our chat? How can people get in touch with you for auditing or anything else to be a guest on the show? I have all of Robert's links in the post. Did you see that,
I
Robert?
saw that. I love it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
So I have
here
all of Robert's links below in the post. And but if you'd like to tell people how to get in touch with you for anything related to auditing or being a guest on your show,
So there are a couple things that I would say. First of all, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, just do it. That's the first thing.
Yeah,
Second thing is if you want to get in touch with me, just follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. But, and it could be for a variety of different things, not just auditing, could be that, but it could
right.
be training as well, because again, I am a professional trainer. But also a keynote speaker, but also I do training, what I call rapid development training. I use artificial intelligence, so AI characters and voices, to deliver training to companies very quickly, so you don't have to wait. You don't have to hire a team to go on set and film folks and stuff like that. So that's another part of what I do. I do a lot of stuff, huh?
Yeah. Would you say that you're a polymath, Robert?
mm, maybe I don't know.
Do you want to tell people what a polymath is? Someone who has a wide variety of interests in different things.
Yeah,
And you're interested in learning about different topics, different subjects. Um, so people who are polymaths, it can be kind of hard for them to focus on one thing to do career-wise. You know, I thought it wasn't too hard for me, but I think it's pretty tough if you're a polymath. So anyway,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
that's
I
why I
want to
said
say
that's
thank
why I
you
said
guys.
maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said
Are
that's
you
why I
good?
said maybe, because I don't think I'm a polymath. I think I've whittled it down to a few things: auditing, training, and speaking. That's it.
Hmm. Do you play music? I meant to ask you. Do you play music?
I don't anymore. I used to.
What happened?
When you don't use it, you kind of lose it.
Hmm. Yeah, my sister used to play the flute, and
Ooh,
she was yeah she used to go to recitals, and her teacher said she could really be a professional, go to Juilliard school. And but it got to the point when she became a teenager, like I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to practice anymore. But she still has her flute.
yep.
Maybe she'll pick it up one day. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Robert, for being on the show with me. It was a good chat, and I hope you guys took something away from it. Number one, if you want to start a podcast, just start. No need fancy equipment right away. And the most important thing I would say is make sure you have quality audio. I would say that's the most important thing. If you're audio only, if you're video, that's a little bit more work, but not much. Right, Robert?
A little bit more work.
Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week with a different guest.